We're live. Episode 111, This Life in Tech. I'm Jason.
And I'm Dan.
Dude, I forget how late those fucking UFCs run. I'm tired.
That's because you're used to watching them when you're on the West Coast. You're done like at,
10
p.m.
Yeah, 10 or 11, you're done. Not this 1:30 shit. My God, dude.
Dude, that one was really long.
Well, it started off with a bang. I mean, Cody getting drilled.
Again.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking. He had already been rocked. And then he decided to, instead of basically sit back, that dude's been knocked out 3 times in a row.
And I think it's basically all from the same thing is he gets hit and hurt and he gets emotional. And he wants like immediate revenge and just starts. He just stands there and swings.
Yeah.
Well, when your opponent is baiting you into that exact strategy and is prepared for it, as that, I don't even know who beat him. Munoz.
Yeah. It's a weird thing for sure. I mean, I just don't understand why he continues to I mean, someone has got to basically say to him, stop. Like, just, he needs to seriously get back on and basically whoever, this is the whole people with the alpha male people over there. They get hurt. They do this exact same thing, and no one's really teaching them patience to cover up, recoup, and do nothing else.
Well, Cody Gabrant's from like 2 towns over where I grew up. And I wouldn't exactly accuse the people in that town of being bright. That would not be the first thing that pops into my head. Now, that school was really good at traditional folk wrestling. Like, it was really well known for that.
Right.
Not so much for pretty much anything else. I mean, dude, it's like that because that's getting out into Amish country. I don't even think they were well known for farming. You know what I mean? It's just a place, dude. And I don't know. The few times I talk to somebody from where I grew up, or God forbid I check Facebook, which I wanted to bring up. Actually, that's one of the technology things I wanted to talk about today is Facebook and its usefulness, potentially. But anyway, everybody's like, oh, Cody Gabrant, because he's from our hometown. First of all, he ain't from where I grew up. Second of all, where he did grow up ain't that great. So my point is, it ain't like he's around people like you're pointing out that are going to be like, hey, listen, man, let me explain something to you. And it's interesting enough, you see the same thing. Have you read any of the rumors this week of Conor McGregor leaving John Kavanagh's gym in Dublin and trying to find somewhere else to go? Actually,
yes. And I think that's more from Kavanaugh.
Yeah, there was some weird posts, let's say, on the internet. I honestly don't know why guys don't do it more often. You've talked about this before too. Why wouldn't you go around and try to take the best from the best as much as you could? Why? I don't understand this whole gym loyalty thing. I understand being loyal to the people that help you, but why don't you take those people with you too? And if they're really good, which I think John Kavanaugh's good, have them help you integrate the things you learn as you travel from camp to camp to camp.
It's interesting, to say the least. People have this pride aspect about it and not understanding there's a big difference between that pride and a coach, right? Okay, John, Kavanaugh is a coach. As a coach, he should know what his fighters' weaknesses are and say, you need to go train here. That's the job of coach. It should be nothing. Just because Kavanaugh has a gym, he's also the head coach for Conor McGregor's training.
Right.
It's odd.
That reminds me, man. Speaking of technology, dude, we've never really had somebody live chat us. How the fuck do you monitor chat? You know, and by the way, this is a big derailment, but this is something I noticed over the last couple episodes. On my screen as the originating host of the session, there used to be a little count of viewers. I don't know if you can see it with your view of the session, but down in the bottom right corner where there's links and it has the title of the cast, there used to be an index of the number of viewers, and that's been gone for a while. So I don't even know if anybody's watching.
I don't know, but there's also I mean, I've been told by some that they put comments in while we're chatting, and then we ignore them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to look for, because there's a chat for the hangout session between us that's like joined to it, but there should be a chat. There should be a chat. Let's see if I can bring this up real quick. Now, this is interesting. Live discovery. There should be a chat like within YouTube. And I think that's what people are seeing. But anyway, I got a question about Facebook. You ready to change topics real quick?
All right, yeah, let's do this.
Maybe we'll come back to the UFC because I ain't done. Because one of the things I don't understand about the UFC is all the belts and what's going on.
Everyone's got a belt.
Yeah, like
you want a UFC belt? I'll hook you up.
Right. And there's so many belts that I don't know who has the legitimate belt anymore versus who has an interim belt. Like Colby Covington, maybe we're not transitioning topics yet. Maybe we're just going to talk about this. Like Colby Covington has a belt. And I was laughing this week because he was harassing Dana White. I don't know if you saw that when he was going like into there. Now I got it. Ah, ha, ha. Hi, chat. Okay, so I got that handled. So Colby Covington was like stalking Dana White, okay? And he has a belt. And I thought he had a belt of a different weight division than he actually has. And that's what's driving me crazy. Who's the champ? Like the only person that I know for sure is in a specific weight class is Daniel Cormier. That's like the only person I know. But now that's confusing too, because one of the belts he has, apparently now John Jones has.
Well, John Jones has actually never lost it.
That's true.
They gifted it to Daniel Cormier twice.
Hey, man, does it matter how you get it or just that you have it?
I don't know. Like I said, you want a belt, I'll hook you up.
Right?
I got you. I mean, you'd probably be in the heavyweight division right about now, but.
Oh, wow. Wow. Hey, I got one thing to say, man. Look at this. Look at that. Look at
that. That's like the size of Daniel Cormier's forearm. Oh, but everyone's got a belt. I mean,
yeah.
Actually, the only two that I think that don't have an interim right now is heavyweight and light heavyweight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so right below light heavyweight is welterweight, right? That was where that's the 185.
Welterweight is 170.
What's right below light heavyweight? Middleweight?
Middleweight is 185.
Okay. So the champ of that is GSP. He beat Michael Bisping, and then he retired.
Well, see, and this is what's crazy. They're
all usurpers.
That was at 185 middleweight, and Robert Whitaker has the legitimate belt. What GSP won was an interim title.
No, Michael Bisping had it originally because he beat that other cat who had it.
But that was an interim belt.
Was it?
Yes.
See, this is why it's so confusing. This is why the UFC needs to stop.
Like, this is something I don't understand. Robert Whitaker's been the champ of that division for a long time. Dude, I've never seen the guy fight. I've never seen him on a card. In fact, he was just supposed to fight last weekend in Australia.
In Australia.
And like the day of the fight, he had to have some emergency colon surgery. And I'm not, I mean, I don't think that's that guy's fault. What are you supposed to do about that? But listen, man,
if you fight, you're a fighter. Fight
or give up the belt. I mean,
fight or vacate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Colby Covington is walking around with the belt because wasn't he supposed to fight Whitaker?
Yeah,
he's like, hey, he forfeited. I have the belt. That's not exactly how that goes. He didn't forfeit. He withdrew.
Yeah, but see, if you withdraw or forfeit, aren't you forfeiting the title? I mean, see, this is what it's crazy, right? Back in the day, like when Chuck Liddell was scheduled to fight, first of all, that dude showed up no matter what and fought. And it was clear what was going on. Like either he won and held the belt or he lost and the belt went to somebody else.
Dude, I gotta say something about Chuck Liddell. All right. Because I was kind of bored yesterday and I was watching this movie and Chuck Liddell was in it. Worst actor ever.
Yeah, dude. His acting is about as stiff as his movement.
Worst. I'm like, and this is the funny thing is he's supposed to be playing like a tough guy enforcer like guy, and he couldn't even play that.
Yeah.
I was what? I was like, this is horrible. Every time he came on the screen, I just fast forwarded.
He's about as good as Ronda. They're just not natural actors, man.
Ronda's going to probably be a lot better because her WWE promos are getting better.
Yeah, well, because she's actually training and practicing it, anyway, man. But like I'm looking at these rankings of these weight divisions, and man, I've never seen half these people fight.
Well, that's also because we don't really watch the UFC as much because it's so watered down. And I mean, you had said it off air, which was kind of funny. Is it that John Jones is good, or is it that everyone else just sucks that bad?
Right. Well, and what's crazy to me, I think it's a fair question, and here's why. 185 used to be the division, right? Light heavy was the division for the UFC. It had all the talent.
Yep. Tito, Chuck,
Randy
Couture.
You name it, man. That was the killer's row, right? And now it's supposed to be like 170, 155, 170, 185 in there. And look, how long is Khabib out? That dude ain't fighting until the fall. Well,
unless they just go fight overseas where the Nevada Athletic State Commission can't touch you.
Well, he could, but then Ramadan's coming up, man. And he's going to miss like the whole spring into the summer.
Fight or vacate.
That's how it should be, man. It should be just straight up. This is the schedule. You're fighting or you're not. And
look, if you have a belt, you should be in this particular day and age. If you're not fighting twice a year, done. You're out. There's no reason why they can't fight twice a year. If you got injured in the last fight and you can't recover within 6 months,
somebody else. Yep. Just take the belt, have number 1 and 2 contenders fight, and then somebody wins, and that's the belt. Why do you spawn off these interim belts? Because then you're faced with the logistical problem, which clearly they're running into, is at some point you need to unify them. Otherwise, you have a fragmented division. What you have like an A belt and a B belt? Who's the real champ? I don't know, man.
Right here.
Yeah.
I was sitting there. I'm like, looking at what's his name? Cody Garbrandt, and I'm like, that dude's 135. I'm 5'10", and when I used to compete, I competed in 165. I'm like, that guy, he's like a toothpick.
Yeah.
5'8" and 135. I don't even know what to say to that.
No. Like when I wrestled at 185. And I had to cut weight to that.
Dude, you might have to cut weight to make heavyweight nowadays.
Oh, wow, man. With the weight jokes. You're just jealous, man. Look how cut I'm getting, dude.
I know. Look at you. You got that trained caterpillar is doing pretty nice.
It is, man. It is. Look at that shit, dude.
Tom Selleck ain't got shit on you.
No way. No way. Because what he does have on me is years. He's down the hill. I'm just coming up. I'll quote one of my favorite entertainers. I'm at the tippity top of the mountain, but I'm only halfway up. Isn't that a great saying, man?
It is. It is.
It's really metaphorical. Speaking of metaphorical, so I wanted to talk about Facebook and technology. We
Yeah.
want to talk more about training and stuff like that, man. Because it was nice this week, dude. Finally, I got like a sunny day, and I took my bike out, and went for a long ride. I can't take it stuck inside anymore, man. It's driving me crazy riding for 2 hours, staring at a wall.
Yeah, unless you start putting like VR on.
I've thought about it, man. I have a headset. That's actually a good idea. But the other thing too, there's like nothing to do. Like, okay, so sometimes if you got an hour and a half, 2 hour ride, that's a perfect time to watch maybe a couple episodes of a show on Netflix, or part of a movie or whatever. Maybe sometimes I watch YouTube lectures, or I listen to podcasts, and like there's just no good content. There's just no good content. Why did you cancel The Punisher, Netflix? Like, I don't get that.
Because it sucked.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's like the only Marvel property that was being done correctly.
Yeah, I've just never been a big fan of The Punisher, though, right? I mean, it's okay. I just wasn't into it as much. I mean, I watched it. I think that Netflix has done quite well with like the Daredevil. I was not a big fan of Iron Fist. I wasn't a fan of him in the comics either, right? It was just not my thing. I'm not a big fan of Luke Cage. Punisher, okay. I mean, it's we've talked. The Punisher's answer. Punisher was the answer to Batman. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, everyone thought it was Iron Man. No, I mean Iron Man's just like bottom 5. I don't put the Punisher in bottom 5. He's in the middle of the pack for me. But it was done well. It kept me entertained. I didn't like the first season of Jessica Jones was pretty decent. The second one I went no. So I understand why they canceled that one. First one was good. Second one not so much.
Well, and I think the big answer is they're dumping the Marvel properties because Disney owns them, and Disney's going to have their own streaming service. And that's not conjecture. I mean, that's well known.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know. I mean, Netflix will come. Maybe they'll start doing some DC comics. Maybe we'll see a Batman series. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would, dude. Well, and they started their own now. I don't remember what it's called, but Netflix has like their own in-house developed like superhero team.
Yeah, so there's one
I haven't watched it
right now that's called The Umbrella Academy.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm not through the whole first season. It's not bad, but there's just not, to be honest, it's just not a whole, getting back to, there's just not a whole lot of content on TV I want to watch. I mean, I'm spending more time reading. I mean, school's got me going up. You were before, we go back on that. You were saying Facebook technology.
Yeah. So this is where I was going to go. I didn't mean to get off on Netflix for a minute, but where I was trying to go with that was, does Facebook, and this is an open question because I don't know, but I have it on my list of things to try and find out. Does Facebook have any usefulness in trying to find, I don't know if I want to call them professional groups, like interest groups. So like people that want to learn or get into a certain, let's say, hobby or activity. Do you think Facebook has any use for that? Do you use Facebook for that? I don't think you do.
No, dude, I log into Facebook like maybe once a quarter just so I don't lose all my stuff. I mean, because maybe I'm just lazy, to be honest. I'm not looking to try to figure out how to download all the content somewhere, and I wouldn't even know what to do with it. And I don't care so much about the pictures. I've got all the pictures I want, but just, I log in to basically like once a quarter, and then I deactivate. It's mainly because, back when I was on Facebook a lot, they already had a lot of hooks into things. And I know now they have even more hooks into more things that you may or may not even be aware of, and I'm going, I just don't have time to think about it. And there's some things that, from a privacy aspect, that I just don't know. But then there's the flip side. I've been compromised so many times by other third parties. Should I even care anymore? I mean, my clearance data was compromised due to OMB being breached. I mean, how much worse can it get?
Right. Right.
But
Well, like you use LinkedIn a fair bit, don't you?
I use LinkedIn a lot.
And do you find that beneficial? Like
Yeah,
having conversations
LinkedIn,
with people.
yeah, on occasion. I mean, I don't necessarily engage a whole lot unless someone says something like really, really dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Or I mean, there's something actually, that's pretty decent. Link. I probably have always interacted more with LinkedIn than even I did with Twitter, right? Even with my old account on Twitter, where I had something like 6,000 followers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really interact. I interact with the same people, right? Not a big deal. Facebook is, I mean, it has its purposes. It would be nice if it was a little bit more laid out. You just don't know. Like once you put Facebook on your phone, you just got access to everything.
Yeah. 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 Well, and so what I'm trying to drive at is, I mean, it's the 21st century, man. We have a massively interconnected world. And it ought to be straightforward to find communities of practice. That would be the technical term that you want to be part of and access that. You know what I mean? And it doesn't seem to me that that's necessarily true, because it seems to me that where those communities of practice ought to exist in these social media networks, the corruption, let's say, relative to privacy specifically, has, I don't know, maybe prevented them from being noticeable, findable, accessible. I don't know. It's kind of bizarre, man.
I'm sure Facebook, I mean, at least at one point they had groups or something like that.
Yeah.
All right. You could probably find, interest groups to be able to get in and learn stuff. I mean, I'm sure of it. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like people, I don't look at what Facebook as being this evil empire like, Dr. Ken. You're on the internet. The internet is public. Anything you do in public, you shouldn't think that you have any expectation of privacy.
Right.
So you put something out there, you could say you kept it private as much as you want. If you want it private, then you don't put it on the internet. Period. That's just the way it is. So with that, it's no different than you trying to find a local club to go belong
exactly.
to. All right. In this case, your local is local to Earth today. Maybe eventually local will be the solar system, but right now it's Earth. When you connect to Facebook, what kind of advantage could you get from some cat that is in Europe that's got the same interest as you? They've got a different perspective, different climate, different upbringing, different way of thinking.
Yeah,
might help you.
Well, right. If nothing else, man, it's just finding like-minded people to talk to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to try and explore this a little more. Maybe I'll report back. I finally finished building out my new, let's say, goal tracking system. In fact,
goal tracking. I'm like, gold.
Yeah, goals. I'm like aims and whatnot.
Where you got that gold buried?
Man, I had a friend text me last week and he's like, dude, do you hold gold? Like investment? I'm like, are you talking about shares? Or are you talking about like actual bullion or bars? He's like, dude, no, I'm talking about bars. I'm like, where am I going to store gold bars at, man? That shit is heavy. And what am I going to do? Bury it under my office?
Actually, where would you store it at, Jason?
Check this out, man. This is my new system. See if I can get this on there.
Level
10
life. Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I've been working on. These are all my goals across 8 categories of life.
All right.
This I'm going to fill in. This is an interesting transition. And so technology has been helping me with this. And this is why I kind of got curious about communities of practice. There's a big transition I think people need help with sometimes making. And I did over the last, since the first of the year. This is what I've been really looking into, like the science of and management and technology to track, so forth and so on, is when you set a goal, the fallacy or the trap is that I am this thing and I want to be better, so I need to do A, B, and C. and changing that to what do I want to be, and what are the things that lead to my success versus what are the things that I may be doing or I need to not do so that I'm not unsuccessful, right?
Right.
And man, it all comes down to really like two guys over the last few decades have been publishing this research around goal structure and essentially project management is what it comes down to, just in a scientific sense, not in a bullshit office position sense.
Right.
And it gets pretty rigorous, man. It gets pretty rigorous. So, and the reason I'm bringing this up and tying this back to, like, for instance, Facebook, not that I've found this on Facebook because I haven't looked yet, but there's like a whole community of practice around this level 10 life, for instance. And it's one technique, or it's one implementation of the scientific technique that I'm talking about. And I would have never understood really some of the intricacies of how to envision these things without finding these little groups that's what all these people do is just talk about it.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot of research and people involved in this, because there's clear evidence that people, that when you write something down and you talk about it, they tend to get it done more often than those that just say, yeah, I think I'm going to try this. Writing it down has some, power over us as beings, that it becomes more real. It's probably why, the research also indicates that those that just type in their notes versus handwriting the notes, those that handwrite it, it sinks in more, which is, and I've kind of noticed that myself, because it's, oh, that's important, and you write it down. Typing it, I have noticed that it's not as much. So that's why the tablet becomes so handy, because it's got a stylus and I can still write. And then I can go in and I can put my hashtags in there to be able to search later. So it does not surprise me in any way that there's a lot of research around goal setting, different ways, how it evolves. And I think if you were to wind up, you will probably wind up finding quite a bit in terms of how to achieve your goals with different Facebook groups. I mean, Facebook has its purpose. Everything does.
It's how you use it. You know what I mean? Right.
Right. I mean, it absolutely. I mean, it's no different than alcohol. It's a poison. Bottom line is it's poison. You drink a slight amount of it, helps the body. You drink too much of it, you lose an organ.
Yeah. Oh man.
So, anyway, it's over. This has been an interesting week, for sure, for me. A lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I was interested. Were you talking about for who I would want to have a mentor? Was it Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
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 No, it wouldn't be Joe Rogan. I don't know that he's really done anything that. I mean, he's a successful entertainer, but outside of that, I mean, if I was in the entertainment business, yeah, he would probably be one, because he's definitely has transcended 3 different genres, right? The fight game, stand-up comedian, and podcast. So
yeah, well, and you could say TV too. I mean, news radio is not a small show.
Oh, right, sure. And then you had the other one being
Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk,
and who was the other one? It was it was an Indian.
Wow. Oh, Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, Deepak. I'm like, no, definitely not him. So I said Jeff Bezos, because, well, he took something from nothing to what it is today, and Amazon. And we're studying a lot about Amazon in our MBA class. They are a complete disruptor to every industry. No one knows what they're going to buy next. Whereas it's pretty clear when you take a look at other companies as to what they're doing and what their strategy is. Amazon, they don't know. They're a disruptor to every industry. All they have figured out is that whatever they're doing it's about logistics.
Yeah. Yeah. And they seem to do it even better than Walmart.
They might. The interesting part as to what they really do really, really well in this is this thing called bricolage.
I've heard this name.
Yeah, it's French. I hate using French words. You know how I feel of the French. But
no, tell us. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you would know when he's here. It's taking two different concepts, putting them together to create a third, or taking something and using it in a different way. So now this is something that's really funny because, of course, the concept when it was brought up in class, I mean, we all know, okay, yeah, we're going to take two different things and make a third. Yeah, that makes sense. But then you start taking a look and we start studying the concepts that are being used today. Those Listerine, basically tabs that you put on, that's bricolage. And people are like, how's that? And like, this concept came from the 60s. It's dropping acid. It looks the exact same way. And the teacher's talking about it. They just took something and went, instead of dropping acid, we're going to make your breath smell good. Exact same concept in every which way, but being used in a completely different way.
Right.
But Amazon does this constantly. You know, they were nothing but selling books at one time. Right, that was it. You want to buy a book, go to Amazon. Then they took that and they started opening up where you could buy other stuff on Amazon. And then they took all these data centers that they basically had and said, well, why not use this and let's allow people to use our own computers? And then they just keep buying up other little things, and they're into everything you can think about technology. They got IoT devices. They've got in different ways. I mean, they've got their own tablet. They've got cameras. They've got security systems. You name it. And then they've taken it again, and they went, well, if we can deliver all this stuff to you, why can't we deliver food? Mm-hmm. And if we're going to deliver food when we need other warehouses, why not go after something that's has another brand, Whole Foods? As you start looking at it, and when they first buy it, people go, why would they do that? Until you take a look and you put all of this in the basically a mind map, and you go, that's not that far off. That's just the next step.
Right.
So what do they buy next? Because technically Bezos also owns either the Washington Post or the Washington Times. I don't remember which.
I think it's the Post, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't remember. whichever one hates Trump more is the one that. I don't remember which one that is. It changes all the time. But Amazon, and the funny thing is that this is what's so weird. The only thing they really produce are their IoT devices.
Right. Yeah, everything else is white labeled, integrated from somewhere else. Yeah. And you know what always amazes me about Amazon is you never really hear people talk ill about Amazon in the same way that, for instance, people talked about Walmart, which is why I made this allusion earlier, as a neighborhood disruptor, right? There's a lot of, at least in the States, a lot of cultural angst against Walmart for being a disruptor to mom and pop business. Other than a little bit, maybe 5-10 years ago about the book industry, you never really hear people bash Amazon.
Well, this is what's funny about that to me, because what a lot of people bash Walmart and stuff on is that how they treat their employees. Amazon treats their employees basically the same way, unless you're on the technology side. If you're just that warehouse type worker like you are at Walmart, he pays low wages and treats his people, has no problem cutting benefits to them.
Right.
And there's an end, when Sam Walton first started out, it was about, he wanted to make sure his employees were all treated well. At what point did that change? Because he didn't start, Walmart until like in his 50s or something like that.
Yeah, it was late, right?
Yeah. So at what point did that change from being Fortune 1 and, having this negative concept to where it was in the very beginning? I don't know, but in his writings in the very beginning were about his people. He chose Arkansas. I mean, he had a vision, right? He wanted to be able to do this and saw it. So put it in Arkansas, which is the exact middle of the country. But what it did is it brought tons of jobs to Arkansas. It also brought tons of jobs that were going to be low income people already, and only had to pay them a little bit more.
Right.
What happened? I don't know. I don't know when that method changed. I don't know when Bezos changed.
Well, and by the way, I looked it up real quick, and to answer, I think, a question in our chat, because I'm actually monitoring it this time. It is the Washington Post. He bought it. He bought the Washington Post, not Amazon, in 2013 for $250 million.
That was a steal.
Yeah, right. Well, it's probably a little bit of a gamble too, because it's not exactly like print newspaper is a burgeoning industry.
No, it's still news, right? It's just going to go online, and he gets to control the narrative.
Right, exactly.
There's nothing being said bad about Amazon in the Washington Post.
Well, right, and I just kind of said that, right? And I didn't say the Washington Post specifically, but anyway, here's an interesting thing too, and this is why I put these two on the list together. Don't forget, he also owns a company called Blue Origin, which is a private aerospace company. And it has a similar mission to SpaceX in some ways, in terms of putting people in space, let's just say, right?
Yeah, and I'm much more confident in Bezos doing it than the charlatan.
Man, I really want to probe deeper into your dislike for Elon Musk, because of that list, I don't know if it would shock anybody. I would pick Elon Musk.
You're much more into magic tricks.
Maybe, man. I'm a wizard, Harry.
So I mean, this is what I mean for that, because whenever this is why I believe he's not what everyone believes he is. Whenever he's been questioned in public, he starts getting irate and angry and starts making it personal. That tells me he doesn't have the answers and it's someone else. Because that's a typical response. If you are confident and you know what you know, and someone's going to have that debate, you're going to be willing to have the debate and explore it. And to me, when everyone does that and engages him in any of these public forums, he makes it personal. He gets angry. You can see it. So,
have you ever heard Jeff Bezos speak? I haven't. And the reason I ask is because I don't think I've ever listened to him give any kind of speech or discussion. It's interesting, like, how known he is. I mean, he is like the world's richest person, right? So even after his divorce.
He's up there. And he's made his money with his own ideas. See what I did there?
I did. But you know what I mean? It's not like he's like, as a tech entrepreneur, which I think it's fair to say Jeff Bezos is.
Yeah, sure.
He ain't like a Steve Jobs type character, or even a Bill Gates type character, where they're out there talking, and you know what I mean. And clearly, Elon's more like that, or at least he tries to be. Let's say. I don't know that he's always successful, as you just pointed out.
Yeah. No. Well, I think there's a difference, and the reason why Microsoft and Apple, when they were coming up, had to be out there talking because they were both going up against IBM.
Yeah.
Right. And other big companies at the time, even though they're no longer necessarily around. But IBM was who they were both basically trying to go up. IBM was like, this PC business doesn't mean anything. All right. And Apple was the anti of everything IBM stood for. So they had to get out there to get that public awareness. Now today, when Amazon became popular, starting to buy things online, in a lot of ways, he followed a similar model of eBay. And, the other one, which was the other big one, like Books A Million, which was online. There was another one I can't think of at the moment, but he just followed a similar model, and it was not about trying to create something new. While Elon Musk is out there because, to me, he is actually trying to go up in a more of a similar model to what Microsoft and Apple had to do. Mm-hmm. He's going up against the big car companies who have tons of R&D. If they wanted to, they could crush anything that Tesla ever dreamed of at any given moment. Problem is that there's not enough market demand for what Tesla is at that price point to do so. So they have no desire. In the United States, I mean, there's a huge reason why Ford Motor Company is essentially getting out of the car business and tripling down on trucks and SUVs at a price point that people can afford. And gas mileage pretty efficient. So Musk is just he's going up against that. It's a hard fight. I don't know that he's going to survive, because he's going to get, I mean, you got the SEC asking for him to be held in contempt as it is for his last tweet. This dude can't get out of his own way.
It's a classic example of my thinking of somebody that's more engineering minded being put into a non-engineering role. I mean, look, no. I'm talking about Musk. You've been around, let's say, classical systems engineers that you don't ever want speaking in a meeting.
Yeah, I just don't look at Musk as being an engineer.
Well, you can say that. That doesn't mean he's not. And I'm not debating whether he's good at it or not. I can just tell you that's how he sees himself, because he said it.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's how he sees himself. He sees himself, and
this is the other thing too, man. You know, and if you pay attention, you'll notice I'm not ever going to debate what somebody else is or says. You know what I mean? If we want to know what Elon thinks, we should invite him on the show and see if he shows up.
He won't, because if he does, he'll get angry. he'll storm off. He'll be like, I'm out of here. Boom, cut his link, because he won't be able to handle the questions.
He won't be able to handle your trolling. Let's be honest.
Just because they're questions and it may happen to be very leading does not mean they're not legitimate questions. But sure, he definitely couldn't handle the trolling.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Jeff Bezos is an interesting character. And part of what I find so interesting about him is this massive empire he's constructed. And he's like a quiet dude. I've never heard him speak.
Well, I can't say that I have either. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard him speak.
Well, and so this is the interesting thing, and you and I have said this before, like, you never really hear stories about Amazon getting breached. Right? You never hear any crazy shit about him.
Well, that's not true now.
Well, I'm not saying it's not salacious. I'm saying it's not crazy. It's not as if that doesn't happen constantly with lots of different people worldwide. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
He just kind of is there doing his thing. And there's something really interesting to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't put himself in the spotlight.
Right.
And that's as an entrepreneur, as a CEO of a big business, you want it to be about your company, not about you. If you're going to be successful, it's got to be about the company.
Well, you don't become this powerful and this wealthy by spending your time worrying about what other people are doing.
That's also true. You know, people are constantly going to tell you that you're wrong. And when you have the vision and you see it, you got to move forward.
Right.
You know, die on your sword. That's the way, you know, I may not die today, but it will not be with a bullet in my back nor in retreat.
Oh, man. I don't even know what to say about that, dude.
Got to move forward. Sharks wish they could move forward like I do.
So, hey, man, maybe we'll end on this. I got an interesting gardening problem.
All right, what do you got? So
far, the science has shown me a specific setup to get these seeds going works way better than the other one. And it's like this biodegradable casing, like a little tray. It's basically made out of straw and dirt, and it's formed, okay? And a specific soil seems to work really well, man. And so I don't know how many different onions I got now. Within a week, man, my lettuce and my cabbage and my kale and all this stuff is sprouting up. And the ground won't dry out. So I can't till the land. I can't actually plant my seeds outside yet.
Because it's too wet?
Yeah, it's way too wet. I can't till the ground. There's just too much moisture, man. There's so much rain. When you walk across like my lawn, it squashes like a wet rug. And it can't dry out because it just keeps raining.
And the seeds are basically rotten. So
well, yeah, they just won't hold, man. And I can't get a tractor in to till the land because it's too soft. It just turns into a big mess. So I got plan B. I thought this up, man. I might have to switch over to like aquaponics.
Interesting.
Now, of course, the problem is I got to find space to do that. But it's interesting, man. It's interesting that I don't know when it's going to dry out for me to get some of the stuff I have, like the onions. They're developed enough. I could probably put them in somewhere. But where am I going to put them? The other option we're talking about is we did build those 2 raised beds for the strawberries.
Right.
I may end up just building more raised beds. And then there's a place down the street where I get the dirt from, and they'll sell it to you like a couple tons for $30 of like really rich, fertile soil. And then I just need a truck. Solvable problems, but that's kind of my garden update, man. That stuff is growing fast.
Well, that's good. That's good. You know, and I heard from the current reigning and defending Pittman family champion that the reason why she doesn't want chicken is because she knows she's going to be the only one taking care of them, and she doesn't really feel like doing it because she knows she's not going to get any help. And then she's worried about them in the cold, that it might be too cold.
Let's be clear here. This is how this works. The reigning defending champion does not like going outside in the cold.
Yeah.
And it's been cold, relatively speaking, for quite some time. Of course, it's winter. What do you expect? And hey, man, I don't know what to say about that. My heart's not broken.
You're not going to get your fresh eggs.
Sure I will, man. There's a Food Lion right down the street.
You don't know what kind of hormones are in that stuff?
Oh, my God. Yeah, so
I think the current reigning and defending Pittman family champion will wind up deciding to still do it, and she's going to figure out a way for those 2 months to deal with the cold. Because it's really all you're talking about in North Carolina. 2 months.
It ain't that cold, bro. It
I
ain't
know.
that cold, man. I mean, it's really not.
We got that. Grew up in this area.
No, see, this is this thing, man. She grew up in North Carolina, but she grew up on the coast. She did not grow up here, and it's warm, way warmer there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, man. It doesn't snow.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, when it snowed 18 inches that 2 days, like right off the bat, and by the way, it's never snowed since. She's never seen snow like that. And for me, it was like, yeah, dude, this reminds me of being a kid in Northeast Ohio. This is what it was like. It was warmer, in fact.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Yeah, I think raised beds might be the long-term solution to a lot of problems. The weed control, the drainage for sure. This is Bonnie in chat. Yeah, I think so. And that's why I built these small ones. I think they're 6x6. I have 2 6x6 boxes that I built and put the dirt in. And I want to experiment with strawberries in those. And that's also my experimentation on building these boxes.
And this is something we definitely know. These hands, they don't do manual labor.
I've been enjoying it, man. I got to be honest with you. It's a nice little break.
They don't do manual labor. I'll pay someone else to do it. I'll have the idea. I ain't got time for I don't want to get my hands dirty.
Now, I will tell you this, though, dude. I did all the insulation in this office, the champion and I'll never do that again.
No way.
I mean, not only is it hot, but man, the itching from the fiberglass.
Dude, so when you do that, you got to be like basically in a bodysuit, right? The warm-up suit, and you need to duct tape.
Yeah.
The hands, put gloves over top. Same thing with your feet. And if you're, with shoes, whatever shoes you have, throw them out.
Yeah, man. Because those fibers get in everything, man, and they drill down through the fabric of whatever you're wearing.
It's glass.
Yeah. That was a lot of work, dude. Now, one thing I do like to do is I did my own floors in here, and I don't like the floors in the house, and the champion's coming around and seeing the fact that these floors ain't sweet. So we probably need to replace them. And I like this stuff. So I may do that. That'll take me a couple days.
So when are you getting your rematch?
Well, that's a good question, man.
When the champ says you get a rematch.
That's the problem is, like I'm ready to run and it's too cold to run.
Yeah, it's too much from the UFC fighters at this point.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, let's go, man. I mean, we got 3 days a week, especially coming up. I mean, April 26th, I'm basically on vacation. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't got no more classes at that point, so my days are even freer. I got plenty of time to train. Plenty of time. And so I think what I'm going to do, man, is she doesn't want to run because it's too cold. I'm just going to start running. I'm going to get fit, dude. I'm going to get down to like 6-minute miles. Watch me, son.
6-minute miles are tough.
Yeah, it is, man. Now I just pulled that number out of my ass. I have no idea, but I know we were running 9 to 10-minute miles pretty easily.
Yeah, over how many miles?
What a 5K's let's call it 3.2.
Yeah, so you're talking about getting that thing done in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, dude,
you got the body type to be able to do that.
Well, you just got to keep dropping weight. I mean, that's the secret.
Yeah, your legs are too small. That's why you're better for on a bike. You're built like
my legs are too small. Too short, you mean?
Yeah, it's short. It's short. Yeah, too short. You're built like a dwarf, not an elf.
We're good over short distances.
That'll be tough, dude. As a heavyweight, you're gonna have to get down to like middleweight.
Maybe. All right. Well, that's not a bad goal, is it?
It'll be tough, man. I don't know.
Well, it's not tough. This is the easiest thing about this shit, dude. This is the easiest thing about this. People get it twisted. All you got to do is not do stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't do things to lose weight. You don't do things to lose weight, for instance, right?
Yeah.
It's the opposite of like with cycling. My goals with cycling. That I have to do something. So it's hard. You have to do it.
Yeah, but in order to, for anyone, you want to properly, just cut weight, it's 90% diet.
Easily. Yeah. And a huge part of it is just eating less.
Eating stuff that's not with all of these artificial additives.
Mm-hmm. Processed.
No process.
Well, and so this is the nice thing to wrap this back up, man, with keeping such detailed track of all my data, like even on my rides. And because I tend to ride the same ride, you know what I mean? Man, as you drop weight, you can watch those numbers change. It's really easy to see.
Yeah. What do you feed your caterpillar?
The blood of my enemies.
But I thought they were all dead now, so.
Well, it doesn't mean I didn't keep
go get new enemies. Just like in the movie Gladiator, there's no one left to fight, sire. There are always people left to fight.
Yeah, well, because if you run out, you just make new ones, right?
Yeah.
No, man, I feed it a little bit of conditioner, a nice stiff brushing, a little bit of oil, a little bit of beard oil to keep the natural hair. Look at it, man. It's pretty nice, dude.
It's getting there. You should grow it out. You look more like a Bond villain.
I did that years ago, man. The last time I kept a stash for a long time, I actually had the wax and I would twirl it and I had it coming up. Dude, that's a lot of work, man. Well,
you're in North Carolina. You ain't got nothing to do. You're no longer going to be in the chicken farming business. So what else are you going to do with that extra time? Did y'all do the show last Tuesday?
No, man. Because you had your thing, understandable. And then I hit up Ken and he's like, oh, dude, I'm stuck in traffic.
Dude, hey, I did this show driving cross country.
I know.
How dedicated I am.
Well, it's like, come on, man. We're not going to do a show because you didn't plan ahead. Like, why are you stuck in traffic? Like, right? I mean, you're the one that said I want to do it on Tuesday.
I guarantee you that in that particular scenario, he says he would choose Deepak.
I bet he was stuck in traffic because he forgot his AirPods at home and he had to go back and get them.
Probably right. I don't think he could leave the house without them.
I don't know, man.
I hope he doesn't. I wonder if he wears them when he's playing golf.
I guarantee he does. We'll find out, but I would bet strongly that he does.
Anyway, I wonder, in the closing parts, bringing it back to UFC. I would love to see Conor fight Cowboy. I think that would be a great fight.
I don't think it's going to happen now, man. I don't think it's going to happen now. I saw some news. I mean, this is rumor, so take it for what it's worth. That now they're looking to have Cowboy fight somebody else. I don't remember who, and Conor's not going to fight until the fall.
Well, I think. I mean, yeah, probably. I think the issue here is that Conor wants the big payday. Still, dude, you lost.
Well,
bottom line, you lost.
I mean, Cowboy's not exactly a dead draw, you know.
No, he's not. But it just comes back down to Conor lost. You no longer get to say you get $30 million to fight. I mean, would you pass up on $3 million? I don't think I would. I'll fight for $3 million now. I don't even have to go and get in shape.
Yeah, right, dude. Right.
You know what? I'm the interim lightweight champ.
I like how you classify yourself as lightweight.
Well, for me, it would only be dropping 20 pounds at this point, and I could get down to that weight class.
Oh, shit. Speaking of which, man, I got yoga to do, and I've been doing a push-up challenge. There's some science that came out that said being able to do a certain number of push-ups within one go correlates with certain health markers.
So what is it? What's the amount of push-ups you got to get to?
What they found was 40.
40?
Mm-hmm.
So what I've been trying to do is right now, just in general, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups a day, no matter what.
Right.
I mean, so I get 5 minutes, I go drop out 10, right? Just to keep going. 40. Okay. 40 at a time.
Well, and what I've found is, and maybe you do this naturally the same way. Like if every half hour, 45 minutes, depending on what I'm working on, I like to take a little break, like 5 minutes, clear my mind. And doing some sit-ups or a push-ups, perfect. They fit in perfectly with that, man.
Yeah, and you can do them anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm trying to think here. Okay, so I'm going to be at RSA. Are we still doing the show Tuesday?
I'm available.
All right, so it'll be 7 a.m. my time. Okay.
That's right. We can change the time a little bit.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
If your candy ass doesn't want to get up that early.
Dude, I could roll out of bed and look this good, ready to go.
I did. Look at me.
It's hard.
It ain't hard. It is hard being this good looking.
Look at you, it's hard.
No. It is hard being this good looking, man. You didn't have to go into the jungle and wrestle this caterpillar.
I wish I could get that mustache like that. I can get a good goatee going on, or that Jason Statham look, but mustache just not in. Just can't do it.
It's all about confidence, man.
Oh no, I don't have as much gap between my part of my lip to my nose like you do. I just don't have it. Not everyone can do a good mustache. I'm just not one of them. I might try, but I don't think it'll look good.
Hey, man.
Yeah, well,
we can't all be a lot of things. You got to find what you're really good at and do that.
That's right. Double and triple down on your strengths. Forget the weaknesses.
That's right.
All right,
man. Episode 111. Yeah, I'll double check with Ken, but we should be able to do it 10 a.m. EST, 7 a.m. PST.
Perfect.
On Tuesday. That'll be episode 112. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Be excellent to one another.
That too.